I'm 32, male, and I never thought I'd be standing in my father's front yard, watching my belongings scattered across the grass like garbage. My stepmom stood on the porch, arms crossed, with that smug little smile she always wore when she thought she'd won. "This house is mine now," she said, almost gleeful. "Your father would have wanted me to have it all." I didn't argue, just nodded. She thought my silence meant she'd beaten me. But she had no idea. My father passed away 3 weeks ago. Heart attack. It was sudden, and it broke me. He was only 63, still full of life. One minute he was tending to the garden, the next he was gone. And just like that, everything changed. But the grief wasn't the hardest part. No, that was her. My stepmom. She was 45, barely older than some of my friends, and she had my father wrapped around her finger since day one. She loved the lifestyle he gave her, the house, the money, the social circles. But not him. Never him. The day after the funeral, her mask slipped. She was all crocodile tears in public, but behind closed doors, pure entitlement. First, it was the cars. My dad's favorite classic Mustang, sold without a second thought. His watches, his tools, even personal things like his old camera, all gone. I wasn't consulted once. Then she canceled the memorial service, claimed it was too much stress for her. Instead, she hosted some private cocktail hour with her friends, pretending to grieve while sipping expensive wine. The audacity was almost laughable, but it was the house that pushed things too far. My father and I were close, and I'd spent half my life under that roof. I knew it like the back of my hand. The creaky floorboard by the kitchen, the tiny crack in the living room window we never got around to fixing. When he remarried, I didn't live there anymore, but it was still home. And he left it to me. My father's will was clear. The house was mine. He wanted me to have it, not because he didn't care about her, but because he knew how much it meant to me. He'd even told me once, "No one's going to love this house like you do." But apparently, she thought differently. "You can't just take the house," I said when she first brought it up. "Oh, I'm not taking anything," she smiled. "Your father wanted me to have it. He said I'd be taken care of. And I will be." She changed the locks the next day. That's when I called my lawyer. He'd been handling my father's estate, and thankfully, he'd seen this kind of thing before. He assured me the will was ironclad. Every document had been verified, signed, and witnessed. The house was mine, no question. But she refused to accept that. She started spreading rumors, told people I was trying to kick the poor widow onto the street. Never mind that she had a fully paid-off condo in the city that she rented out for income. She wanted this house because to her, it wasn't about memories or love. It was about winning. Then came the final stunt. I showed up one morning to grab a few personal things, and she was waiting for me. Trash bags and boxes littered the yard. My childhood baseball glove, family photo albums, even a framed picture of my dad and me from my college graduation, all dumped like garbage. "This house is mine now," she repeated, watching me like she expected me to break down. "You should have stayed out of it." But I didn't break. I just nodded and said, "I'll be back tomorrow." She had no idea what was coming. The next morning, right on time, a black SUV pulled up in front of the house. My lawyer stepped out, followed by a court officer. I parked a little down the street, far enough that she wouldn't see me right away. I wanted her to have that moment of confusion. When she opened the door, her face twisted with fake concern. "Can I help you?" she asked, voice dripping with fake politeness. My lawyer handed her the papers. "You've been served." She blinked. "Excuse me. These are legal orders confirming the rightful ownership of this property. You are required to vacate within 48 hours. Her hand shook as she glanced through the documents. "This can't be right. He promised me. Your father promised me everything," she spat, voice rising. "I was his wife." "That may be," my lawyer said coolly, "but the law is clear. The house was left to my client, and any claims you've made have been legally denied. But I've lived here. I've taken care of this place. You can't do this." "You had the opportunity to contest the will," he replied. "You didn't." She was furious. I could see it in the way her fists clenched. But there was nothing she could do. Every dirty trick she tried, manipulating my father, spreading lies, even attempting to sell some of his assets before the estate was settled, had come back to bite her. And then, the cherry on top, My lawyer gave her a polite smile. Additionally, we'll be pursuing civil action regarding the unauthorized sale of personal items. The court has been notified, and restitution will be required. Her face went pale. She knew exactly what that meant. She wasn't just losing the house. She was on the hook for every dime she stole. I watched her try to sputter out a response, but nothing came. She slammed the door, but it didn't matter. The clock was ticking. 48 hours later, I was back. The locks were being changed, the movers were gone, and the house was mine. She left it a mess, of course. Smashed picture frames, furniture overturned, a petty last-ditch tantrum. But none of it mattered. The house still stood, and it was still full of memories. I could feel my dad's presence in every corner, and now I could finally breathe. As for her, word got around fast. People saw her right through her crocodile tears when the truth came out. She tried threatening lawsuits, claiming I had wronged her, but nothing stuck. Last I heard, she had to sell her fancy car to cover some of her debts. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. Some people think they can manipulate their way through life without consequences. But eventually, it all comes crashing down. And I have to say, watching her face when she realized the game was over, that was pretty satisfying. Anyway, if you enjoyed that story, maybe stick around. Life's full of surprises, and I've got plenty more where that came from.